أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم عبده ورسوله. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. أيها المؤمنون، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة
We
الله.
thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We glorify Him. I bear testimony that there is no other God worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I bear testimony that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is messenger of Allah. May the peace and the blessings of Allah be on our noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his household, his companions, and the generation of Muslim Ummah from now to the present ability. Awalan, we thank Allah for making us Muslims. For making us not only Muslims, there are some persons who are Muslims, but they are not dutiful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are not recognizing their responsibilities. They are not recognizing activities. For us having the level of consciousness to deem it fit, to organize programs of nature, to deem it fit, to be putting our minds together, to be reshaping or directing our minds towards the wish of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's worth taking Allah on. There are some of our mates, there are some of our age, there are some who are not even up to us. If you look at what they are doing at this immediate or this material time, either they are humanizing or they are in the beer parlor. Some of them are stealing. So all manners of evils are what they are doing at this material time. But for Allah to have directed your mind, for Allah to have directed my mind towards righteousness, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. Secondly, I want to also thank the organizers of this particular program. It is not a team of play. If at this level, at this critical time, that things fall apart, like Chino actually said, the center could no longer hold. We feel that the necessary thing is to see how to direct the Muslim Ummah towards righteousness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this from us as out of ibadah. The topic I'm asked to discuss is Islamic view on parenting. Islamic view on parenting, principles and practice. Today, the society is very veiled, is full of corruption, as Allah Himself has said in the glorious Quran. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر. Allah said, immorality, indecency, evils has engulfed the entire society. Things have become abnormal. The abnormals have become normals. The normals have become abnormal. Where what Allah wishes has become obsolete in society in the face of the enemies or the face of those who do not recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And even the evil has become so manifest that the little amongst us, few of us who are trying to uphold the tenet of Allah, will look like strangers, like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, Ja al-Islam gariban. Islam came like a stranger. فَسَيَعُودُ كَمَا بَدَأَ. He said it will go back as started, that it will look strange. And that is the situation we find ourselves today. People that are holding the kind of our Islam will look like a stranger in the midst of our people, in the community we find us. So, for the topic given to us is to see how to make our children, how to nurture our children to be firm on the path that we are holding. We are holding it like a code, like Rasulullah said in another verse, another hadith. He said it's like a code, so that our children can also hold on to it tenaciously. He said, Haddu alayha bin nawadis. He said, hold on to it with your premolar. So, in an attempt to hold on to it, that is why we try to see how to bring our children into the fold. But let me tell us, there are two major challenges. There are two major challenges. Every other challenges fall under it in terms of our upbringing of children, in terms of rearing children. Number one, the internal challenges. Number two, the external challenges. I repeat, the challenges that we face in trying to bring or rearing our children. I mentioned that we have two challenges. Number one, there are internal challenges. Number two, there are external challenges. The internal challenges has to do with how do we as a family, how do we as a mother, how do we as a father try to nurture our children with the little knowledge we have? And it's also waiting for them. There are some people who are not training their children. There are some people who are not cultured. There are some people whose children are not cultured, and they are not giving their children any form of culture. So by the time we rear our children, by the time we give them what they require, by the time we give them, we know them towards what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes from us, they go outside to mix up with the people, with the children whose children were not given any upbringing, with the children whose children were not taught any form of discipline. So if we now have external challenges that are stronger than even the internal challenges. So having this in mind, do we now say because the society is full of corruption, do we now say because society is full of challenges, then once we train our children, they go outside society, they might likely be consumed, then we should not fold our hand. We wouldn't fold our hand. Therefore, let's look at the parenting in Islam. Number one, when we talk of parenting in Islam, we talk of family in Islam. I repeat, talking of parenting in Islam, we talk of institution of family. But indeed, brothers and sisters in Islam, the institution of family today is in a serious challenge. There is a serious war on the institution of family. If you look at the rate at which divorce is coming rampant today, it is sine qua non, second to none, compared to what it were in the past. That is for those that are already married. The second aspect are those young boys that are up, have stick to the fact that they don't want to get married. Many of them, when you ask them, when are you getting married, they will laugh at you. Daddy, you are talking about marriage now. Tell me, what are you saying? Married now? No. Somebody of 27, somebody of 30, 35 years, they are nothing in that direction. Their mind is always towards how can they get their way, how can they amass money. Their mind in how to enjoy the life, not to establish a family, not to establish a family. And there are some among them as well whose mind is they will get married, but they don't want to give birth to any children. They don't want to rear any child. They will get married, they will call themselves, even among the Muslims, the worst part of it, even among the Muslims, there are children, young boys, young girls, they get married, but they don't want to procreate. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the essence of marriage, as I tell you, is that to build up a family and also to nurture and to reprocreate. This is a challenge that confronts society, family institutions today. And if family is the bedrock of Islamic parenting, therefore, Islam has made sure to look after the family. Every individual should look up to the family, see how we can bring up our family that it will be well-being and also contribute to the strength of the society. Parenting in Islam is guided by teaching of two principles. The sources is only two. Number one, the Quran. I repeat, the sources of our guide of training our children in line with Islamic teachings is from two sources. Number one, the Quran. Number two, the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is viewed as a sacred responsibility in these two sources. I repeat, rearing our children, I mean, rearing your child or your children is a sacred responsibility, an essential aspect of every Muslim. I repeat, it's an essential aspect of your life, as it's an essential aspect of my life, being a Muslim, having a child or having a children. The question now is that, what do we tend to gain? What is the aim of rearing children? What is the aim? What does Islam want to gain? The following three parts are the aim of rearing children in Islamic way. Number one, to build a strong moral character in the children. I repeat, to build a strong moral character in the children. When we want to ask, what do you mean by strong moral character? We want to nurture a child that will be honest, meaning that we are to rear a child or children that will be honest in his dealing or her dealing. A child that will be kind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that by the time we die, the only things that will be left for us are the children that will be praying for us. That is a child that has been reared that can pray for us. Allah also said that by the time we grow old, our children should take care of us. And they can only do that if at all we have given them the moral lesson. We have taught them how to be kind. We have taught them generosity. We have taught them humility. And we have taught them respect for others. This indeed is part of things we need to inculcate in our children that we want to rear. Number two, a deep connection to their faith. I repeat, a deep connection to their faith. We are rearing or we are nurturing our children to have connection with the Islamic principle. We are teaching our children or rearing our children to know Allah, ma'rifatu rabb, to know Allah, that Allah is one, and to know how to observe, to rear the responsibility, to nurture the responsibility in him, between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that created him. Therefore, strong belief in the fundamental Islamic tenet is the second reason why we need to nurture or train our children. Number three is the ability to contribute positively to society. Ability to contribute positively to the society. A child that is well nurtured, a child that is well trained, the society will benefit from such a child. A child that is not well trained, the society will not benefit and also inherit from the bad irresponsibility of such a child. Therefore, these are the major reasons. These are the major focus or the aim of which we are to rear our children in Islamic way. Therefore, Islamic parenting is a holistic approach and it integrates spirituality, morality for everyday life of every Muslim. At this junction, I want to call our attention to know that if Allah has bestowed upon you a child, if Allah has given you a child, that child is an amana. What do we mean by amana? It's a trust that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will query you. It's a trust that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask you, how did you go about it? In a hadith that is very famous, virtually any of us we know about it, that Rasulullah said, that you are all shepherds, and you shall all be queried on how you nurture, of how you graze your steward. Therefore, we should see it as an amana. And we should also see it that by the time we nurture such a child, by the time we nurture our child in an appropriate way, there is a payback time. I repeat, let's have it about our mind that there is a payback time. Allah said in the Quran, Allah said He has ordained that Muslims should not worship other than Allah. and we should pay back to the parents. That's payback time. So, in essence, there is a payback time if we nurture such a child in a righteous manner. But if you don't, there's also payback time in a negative way. Looking at the principles, there are 5 essential principles of training a child. One, and this principle is very common. One, when we have a child that is giving birth to, today, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that such a child is born as a what? As a pure individual. That's the first principle. Children are born pure. A child that is born today, he has no anything. He has not committed anything. He doesn't know left from the right. He or she grows up. In a hadith that is very famous also, he said that kullu mawludin yulad ala al-fitra, that every child is being given birth to on the fitra. What is fitra? The scholars of Islam made us realize that the fitra means a pure slate, knowing Allah as one, knowing Rasulullah as messenger of Allah. Because before the creation, before we were all sent to the world, Allah had called us ab initio and asked us, when you get to the world, whom do you worship? Kulna Allah. We say we worship only Allah. Who is your messenger? We have all testified that the messenger of Rasulullah is the messenger. So there's a testimony. We are on that fitra. Rasulullah kullu muludin yulad al fitra. Every child is given birth to on the fitra. Then for Abawaihi, his mother, his father, his relative, his society, Yahudiyanihi, they will rather be the one to either train him to the righteousness or to train him to unrighteousness. Therefore, the first principle is that every child is born pure. Number 2 principle, parents have a responsibility to lead and guide their children. That's the second principle. Having given birth to them in a pure way and manner, then the responsibility to lead them and guide them to righteousness is on you. Number 3 principle, we shall explain that in detail. Number 3 principle is that leading and guiding are done with kindness and mercy. Number 4, children need boundaries. Children need boundaries. Number 5, children need responsibility. Children need responsibility. Let's take it one after the other. I mean the principle, let's take them one after the other. Number 1, I have mentioned that Messenger of Rasulullah said, no child is given birth to except is born on the millah. At this junction, I want to slow down a bit. Let's ruminate. The theory of attribution in social psychology, they mentioned that there are 2 basic behaviors that are interpreted in every behavior. You see a child or you see any individual, there are 2 attributions. There are 2 attributions. It is a theory that is always being attributed. Number 1, that the behavior exhibited by any individual, it is assumed that such a behavior is influenced by his internal characteristics. By his internal characteristics, that a child or somebody who behaves now, the behavior might be from his own internal characteristics. The second behavior is that maybe it is from the situation of his environment. Either the first one is characteristics or the society. This has been explained by the prophet in the hadith earlier mentioned, that every child is born on a clean state. Society is responsible for whatever the child is made. That is, when you talk about society, we mean the parents alongside. So let's see how we can make sure we give the right thing to our children. Number 2,
Okay. I guess it's network, inshallah. I guess lecturer is going to. Okay, go ahead, please. Doctor, go ahead. Unmute your page. Unmute. Doctor, we can't hear you. Unmute.
Now, what I was saying is that since we know there are the first principle, that is, they are pure, sinless, and innocent. The second principle is that we hold the responsibility. Then how do we discharge the responsibility? Is what leads us to the third one. The responsibility must be discharged in what? In kindness and mercy. We have this in the hadith of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he is so kind, he is so generous, and is so good to his children. We have the narration that many a time the grandchildren of Muhammad Hassan Hussein, even while he is praying, they always love to be in his midst. There was a time, there was a hadith that Rasulullah always play with the children. I will tell them, whoever comes to me first, I have a special gift to give to him. What I'm trying to say is that when we want to nurture our children, it must be with kindness and mercy, not cruelty. Number 4 principle, children need boundaries. Third one is mercy and kindness. Having this mercy and kindness, there is also need of boundaries for the way and manner we nurture them. Allah has given us boundaries to keep with Him as an entity, as human beings. Every country, every society, there is a boundary. In the hadith of Prophet Muhammad, he said that for every every king, every governor, every president, there is a boundary. And also, for Allah also set some boundaries. What are the boundaries that Allah said? Allah set the boundary that a Muslim must not engage in haram. A Muslim must not go beyond what he has made halal. So Allah set boundaries. The government, wherever we are, they also set boundaries as the leader of the state. In community we have, there are boundaries. Where I am here, the police officer of this place cannot go to Choba and operate without the permission, without sending signal to the police officer in Choba. So there is boundary for every government. In our own houses also, we must set boundary, because in Hadith I quoted earlier on, we are the leader. We are the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed in that manner. Then we must set boundary even when we are nurturing no children. And the last part is children need responsibility. We must give them responsibility. The goal of parenting is to raise independent and reasonable human beings, not an imbecile that wouldn't know left from the right. These are the 5 principles that scholars of Islam had laid that are very essential in upbringing, to know when we are upbringing children. Number 1, we should know that children are born pure. 2, that we should guide them. We have the responsibility to guide them. Number 3, that we should guide them or nurture them with kindness and mercy. Number 4, we should know that we should set boundaries for them. Number 5, we should also know that we should give them responsibility. This is the principles that have been laid down. But when I talk of practicability, I will give us one hadith. Though some scholars look at the authenticity of that hadith, that can give us how we can have a practical way of nurturing our child or our children. The hadith said thus, that إِلْعَبُوا مَعَهُمْ سَبْعًا. The Prophet said, play with children from age 0 to 7. إِلْعَبُوا مَعَهُمْ سَبْعًا. Play with them from age 0 to age 7. It continues. ثُمَّ أَدِّبُوا سَبْعًا. Then teach them, give them knowledge, teach them from age 7 to for another, meaning the first one 1 to 7. The second one is that from 7 to add more 7, 14. Then the third one is a they make them friends, advise them at the age of another 7. The first 7 plus another 7 making 14 plus another 7 making 21. Let me break it down in this manner. The first 7, that is from age 1 to 7. What are we to do practically? Because we have to talk about principle and practical way. What are we to do practically? If you give birth to a child from age 0 to 7, the Prophet said, we are to play with them. Play with them very well. Let them have fun. Let them catch fun. Because as they grow, it has a lot to do in their mental stability. Happiness, when they are happy at that tender age, it has a lot to do in their mental growth, in their mental wellness. As scholars said, this child is constantly influenced by the surrounding. Whatever they see at that age of 0 to 7, they are influenced and they are observing it. They might not talk. They might not talk. They learn from what they see us doing. That's why sometimes when you are praying on a child of 3 years, 2 years, 1.5 years, you see them, they see you praying constantly, they will also go and carry their prayer mat and be doing Allah Akbar. Even when they don't know what you are doing, they are imitating you. Rasulullah said, we should play with them, let them see, we should romance with them so that they can learn at this age. And that they imitate us more than any other person at that age. Whatever they see us doing, they want to imitate it, they want to exhibit it. And the last one, he said, if you find any undesired behavior at that age, if you see a child misbehaving at that age, the scholar said, check if you or your spouse or a caregiver had acted in a similar manner before. So they don't just exhibit, they must have seen somebody exhibiting a trait. They will try to imitate such a person. Therefore, the age of 0 to 7 is very critical, that we need to look at the environment. This has to do with the way we dress. This has to do with the way we address ourselves. This has to do with the way we talk to them. This has to do with the way and manner we talk to others. Children at this age, they observe, they may not talk, but they see what you are doing. After the first 7, now the second 7 is 7 to 14. We also remember one hadith that our Prophet Muhammad said that we should teach our children how to observe Salah from age what? Age 7. And that when they reach age 10, they refuse to observe that Salah. But we should beat them, meaning that we should correct them, we should enforce it on them. So marry that hadith with this current hadith, that we should teach them at the age of 7. It shows that they are ready for logical reasoning at this material time, from age 7 to age 14. They are ready for logical reasoning. Whatever you talk, sometimes they will ask you some critical questions. Daddy, why are you? How did you give birth to me? Mommy, who's your daddy? They will be asking some logical questions because they begin to process their environment. They begin to ask questions they were not asking before. They begin to ask, so how did this world come about? Daddy, I have seen a scenario where a child was asking the mother, Daddy, how did you are daddy and mommy, how did you give birth to me? Are you my daddy or my mommy? Who gave birth? How did I come out? How did I come to you of this one? They are reasoning. They are logical at that material time, and they will ask critical critical question. So Rasulullah said, from 7 to 14, Rasulullah we should teach them not only reasoning, even Islamic ethics. At that time, take them to masjid. Even before 7, we take them to masjid. But at 7, we teach them how to pray, how to greet people. When you see person, this is how to do this, this how to do that. At that 7 to 14 is very, very critical. And when we miss it at that material time, we will miss it at that material 7 to 14, it is very difficult to come by. A psychologist said, give me your child from age 6 to 10. I will turn him or her to something else. Give me a child from age 6 to 7 to 10. I will turn him or her to something else. Meaning that age 7 to 14 is very critical. They are ready to suit up. Anything you show them, anything you teach them, anything you tell them, they are ready to assimilate. They are ready to take it. The time to teach them secular is the same time you teach them secular. When issues are on, you discuss with them. Teach them religion, teach them halal and haram. Halal and haram. What Allah does not want at this material time, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said from age 7 to 14, we should teach them what they need to do. The final stage is from age 1. That is the age of puberty. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, then make them your friend, advise them, start advisor. Children achieve independence and develop their own personality at this age, from 14 to 21. They develop their personality. They develop whom they are, and that's why sometimes your child will tell you, "Mommy, don't think that I'm old enough. Don't think that I'm age. Don't think that I'm an adult." So a child of 21, it is expected Islamically, brothers and Islam, it's expected a child of 21, he or she has reached the age of puberty. Before then, whatever he does, he has not seen. If he commits, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not been written against him. But age of puberty, the person has reached age of puberty and is expected to be an independent in mind. During this critical year, what we need to do, befriend them. Don't be too harsh on them. When you are harsh on them, Allah told Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when you want to take decision, consult them, have mushawara. Let's discuss. Allah is teaching for Muhammad lesson how to relate with the matured one among his companions. That do consultation. Therefore, in our family also, from age 14 to 21 or above, we need to serve as friends to them, advise them, and do what we can do in order to make them upright. Understand that they are now full adults according to Islam, and the choice of theirs, the choice are there to make right or wrong. I repeat, the choice Islamically are there for them to take the right or the wrong. As a parent, our responsibility is to advise them and advise them well. Having said this, ikhwa fillah, we have seen the 3 stages. From age 21, Islam believes that a child of 21 is big enough. As a lady, she's old enough to marry. As a man, he is also old enough to marry if the resources are available. If the resources are not available, Rasulullah also taught us the way out, how to go about it. That's another discussion. But the challenge I want to put to us today is this death era, the technological era, the social media era. How do we navigate? I know many of us are facing a big challenge. And how do we go about it? Do we now say, oh, because the social media is porous, because there are challenges there, we wouldn't expose our children, we will not allow our children to hold onto it or to make use of it? No. There are benefits in social media. There are benefits in technology. There are also evil in it. Dealing with the impact of technology and social media on children, on Islamic parenting, require, number one, awareness. We as parents, we must be aware. We must also be on top of the game. We must be at alert. We must be up and going to know the danger in it and how to navigate. Then supervision. We supervise them and we take active involvement in the way and manner they use it. I repeat, it requires awareness. If you have not been aware about the trends, we need to be aware, take awareness. We need to supervise them as they are growing and as they are using it. Then we need to be actively involved. If they are on to go, if they are on Instagram, we should involve in their Instagram page. If they are in WhatsApp, we should involve in the persons, their content they have. If they are on any social media, we should get involved. That is what is called awareness. If we are not aware of what is going on with them, before we know, it might be too late. I have scenarios that we can use as examples. The one that we are also seeing home domain might also be used as examples. The following are what scholars of Islam gave us as way out. One, set reasonable time limit for children using technology and social media. Let us set reasonable time limit. When we were growing, it was age of television. Our parents, we can't watch television unless it's between age of hours of 10, 8, 9, 10. That's when we watch television all weekend. They were able to nurture us. They were able to train us. They were able to caution us. You can't just on TV when it's not time. You don't sit down for TV. When you do that, you are in trouble. The same way, our parents, they set reasonable limit, reasonable time for us to go away, to go by using of television. This time around is their own era of social media. We can also do them well by setting time for them to go about it. Number two, ensure children access quality content that align with Islamic values. We should ensure that they access quality content that align with Islamic values. If our children want to get involved, what are the channels? What are the sites? What are the contents they are involved in? We should ensure we censor what they get access to. If, for instance, a child is used to Islamic site, when you go to his Facebook, the ads that comes up often will be on Islamic activities. If a child is used to negative kinds of things, if you go to his what do you call it, YouTube, things that will normally pop up are negative kinds of things. Therefore, we should ensure that the quality of the content of what they watch or they do is in line with Islamic values. Number three, be a good role model when using technology and social media. You cannot forbid them from not doing something where you are involved. So the best practice, the best practical way to let them realize and follow the right thing is for you to be their role model. To do it well, you don't need to even shout. You don't need to even beat them. You don't need to. They will follow suit naturally. So that's one of the recommendations of scholars of Islam. Number four, teach children to always be critical of the information they encounter on social media. There are some unavoidable issues that are antithetical to Islamic teaching. There are some unavoidable content that they come across. We don't shy away from them. What we need to do, we should let them realize there are some content. You analyze it. Oh, I saw this in social media. Ask him, Rahim, I saw this thing. What's your view? You hear their view. They say it out. You ask the other one, what's your view? So by engaging them, we are preparing their mind in case such scenario happens to them, how they will navigate. The discussion we have had with them on this will give them the best way on how to navigate. Number five, create family rules and norms about using technology and social media. Family norms. If it is possible, we write it down. If it is possible, we put it on the slate. Then we place it on the wall. Oh, this is the time for television. This is the time for this. This is time for that. When we do this, it will guide them and it guide them a lot. They engage them in social media as technology conversation, like I mentioned earlier on. And lastly, the scholar mentioned is that encourage them to engage in alternative activities outside social media. I repeat, very importantly, encourage them to engage in alternative activities outside technology. Before now, children get engaged in football. They engage in social activities. But now they are glued to only their phones. They are glued to social media. If you want to take them away, we want to take them away from it, we should create alternative means for them to navigate. If you want to condemn things for them, give them an alternative way. You can create it within your confined environment. Having said this, brothers and sisters in Islam, having said this, it is very critical that we know that we do all this with the prayers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do this with prayers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot do it by our power. That we are righteous, it is not a license that our children will be righteous. That we are good is not an example. Even among the prophets of Allah, if people, the children will be upright, that being the children of all the prophets. In Surah Al-Tahrim, Allah told us the story of Nuh, Imrat Nuh, yeah, the wife of Nuh and his son. Allah also told us the wife of Fir'aun. Allah also told us the wife of Fir'aun. So these are examples. The children or the son of Noah, Noah was upright, but child was unrighteous. Was unrighteous. This indeed is a lesson. Therefore, we need to be prayerful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us and guide our children. Guide us and guide them. And while we are doing all these that have practically and in principle, we should not engage in physical and mental abuse. We should not engage in physical and mental abuse. Don't compare your child with anybody. Don't compare your child. If your child is doing well, fine. If he's not doing as you wish, don't compare him. Look at Mr. Labaya's son. Look at Mr. Ibrahim's son. Don't do that. You are creating negative impression. And that's indeed, for instance, I have a girl, a student, whose mother or parents usually compare her with a younger one. And she confided in me that her parents are making serious mistakes. They are creating enmity between me and my daughter, my sister. I said, how do you mean? That they compare her a lot with me. They have forgotten that we have not the same. She bear this name, I bear that name. I came to this world separate day. She came to this world separately. Our head is different from my head. Therefore, they should not expect us to behave the same. And what they are doing, they are creating enmity. I'm hating my sister. I'm hating her with passion. She did not offend me, but because my mom had made me realize that I'm nothing, that she is better than me. What I'm trying to say is that we shouldn't compare children. Let them grow. We talk to them. We advise them. By the time we are comparing them, we are creating enmity. Another point we need to take caution is that over authoritative. Some of us, in a means to be emotional, we tend to force our children. By the time we force them, they run away from the house. When the force is getting too much, they move away. They want to get freedom. They want to be free. So don't be too authoritative. By the time we are too authoritative, we are telling them that their house is not comfortable for them, that they are not belong to that house. And by implication, they will look for an alternative way and they run away from you. And when you grow old, they won't show love to you. Then overprotective. Don't be overprotective. For us that have female children, one of the mistakes we make, we overprotect. Oh, I don't want my dad to do it. When you overprotect, by the time they have a slight opportunity, they will strike. Let me give us an instance of a woman who had 2 children. I think they live in United States. Like I was told, these two children were protected by the mother, single mother, until they grew to the age of going to higher institution. They were never given that free chance. When they wanted to pursue, sent them to Saudi Arabia. And when they go to Saudi Arabia, these children, having the first freedom of their life, they meet, the first time they meet wrong persons. And indeed, the mother lost them. What I'm trying to say is that the children were not exposed to any form of the challenges outside. They have no immunity to prevent their mind against these negative narrations. So when they see it, they get enticed to it easily and they are swayed. What I'm trying to say, don't be overprotective. Do your best and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant you success on them. Not providing, number the last one, not providing adequate religious education. One of the mistakes we make is that we feel that just to pray and just to pray alone, we need to give our children a sound Islamic education. Some of us that are living abroad, let's divide the maize. Even if it is social media, we want to use lash on. There are applications, there are websites wherein we can register our children to learn Islamic education. It is paramount. A companion, a scholar says, "Alimu awladakum dinakum." Teach your children your religion. Yuqimu ba'dakum atharakum. So that by the time you are no longer there, or by the time you don't have any power again, they can follow your trend, they can follow the legacy you have left for them. So let us give them what they require and what they need in terms of Islamic upbringing and Islamic education. Above all, like I earlier said, let us pray for them. Let's be close to them. When they need discipline, we discipline them with love. When we discipline them with love, let them realize why we have disciplined them. Putting this in place, the principles and the practice as initiated by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us success at the end of the day. Allah mentioned in the Quran that innama amwalukum wa awladukum fitna, that your children and your wealth, they are fitna for you. Listen, Allah said, your children and the wealth that you have, they are fitna for you. They are fitna if you don't train them well. They are fitna if you don't give them what they require. They are fitna if you don't give them upbringing. And your wealth also, Allah mentioned, because part of your wealth is the resources Allah puts on your custody. How do you make use of it? So in another place, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Innama amwalukum wa awladukum aduwwun lakum." Allah said, they are your enemies. They are your enemies if at all you do not train them well. They are your enemies. They are your enemies if you don't give them what they require. In another place, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, they are enjoyment of this world. They are enjoyment of this world. That is, if you have given them what they need to know, if you have trained them consciously, if you have trained them consciously with effort, because like I earlier said, it's an amana, it's a trust Allah placed on you. Because if you have not given birth to them, it would have been better than you give birth to them without nurturing them, without giving them what they supposed to do. So this is little perhaps. Inshallah, I will likely share it with the coordinator for us to go back to it after now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us success both in this world and akhirah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. A dúpẹ́ fún Ọlọ́run. A sì dúpẹ́ púpọ̀ fún Dr. wa for that wonderful lecture. Very comprehensive enough fún any one of us láti lè lò fún ìgbésí ayé wa. By going through the Quran, by checking the hadith, although the social aspect of it, he also said something about the stages tá a fi lè rí àwọn ọmọ yẹn, and he also gave us a backup from what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said when it's come to bá a ṣe lè rí ọmọ and how to monitor them, all those things. But in summary, ní Yorùbá, láti lè jẹ́ kí àwọn kọ̀ọ̀kan nu wa tó yẹ pé yes, wọ́n doctor ò check orí kíní message tí mo send sí wọn ni àmúlùmọ́là la máa ń ṣe àwọn lecture wa á fi èbó àti Yorùbá and the doctor is an academic doctor tó bá ti bọ́ sí kíláàsì báyìí èbó ló máa ń sábà sọ àfi tó bá wà níta nìkan lẹ́gbọ́ Yorùbá lẹ́nu ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọn gbà mí àfi tó bá fẹ́ justify Yorùbá láti fi explain details nínú class so àwọn kọ̀ọ̀kan wọn wà ní wájú pé wọ́n prefer Yorùbá náà bí àkànṣe lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn náà ní àárín wa ń bíbá so we really thank you it's very understandable and your lecture is very straightforward adẹ̀gbọ́yé dáadáa we thank Allah for you and the knowledge Allah has bestowed on you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase you in knowledge and better understanding. Guide your family, guide yourself, and protect you from every evil. Téèyàn lè rí àti téèyàn ní rí. And may Allah be with you. Lórí dáadáa. Àwọn nǹkan tí dókítà wa bá wa sọ ní ṣókí, ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa, àgbọ́yé rẹ̀ òun náà ni pé ká lè gbọ́yé pé lálàkọ́kọ́ kò sí bá a ṣe fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ nípa principle tá a fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ nípa practice tá a ní sọ yí pé kí ni Kùránì sọ fún wa kí ni àdíìsì sọ fún wa a tún lè wò pé kí ni àwọn kùlàfà rọ̀ṣídùn sọ fún àwọn sàábé tó tẹ̀lé Ànábì kí làwọn náà ṣe léyìí tó ní í ṣe pẹ̀lú pé kí ni gbogbo nǹkan táwọn náà máa ṣe kí lọ́lọ́run sọ ni kí lànábì náà sọ ni ẹ̀rí àti pé làákàyà máa jẹyọ díẹ̀díẹ̀ tá a máa ń pè ní rọ́yì àti kìyàsí wọn ni reasoning wọn ni logic wọn ni yóò máa jẹ wáyé tó bá ti di àwọn ìròrí kankan tí wọ́n rí pé wọ́n rí nínú Quran àti Hadith then pàápàá jùlọ lára nǹkan tí dókítà kọ́kọ́ sọ fún wa nìyẹn pé tá a bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa principle báwo la ṣe fẹ́ ṣe because ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa ìròrí la fi ń tọ́mọ mo dẹ̀ láìkì bí lágbájá ṣe tọ́mọ lèmi náà ṣe fẹ́ tọ́mọ mi ó lè má lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ó lè má lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ Yorùbá náà bọ̀ ní ilé là ń wò ká tó sọmọ lórúkọ o ò lè kàn tí torí lágbájá bó ṣe ń re àwọn ọmọ ẹ̀ kí wọ́n náà rí ọmọ ẹ̀ bí ẹ̀ wàá kó bá àwọn ọmọ yẹn wọ́n lè má bá the same way wá sílé ayé the same hearing wọn bó ṣe máa ń tètè gbọ́rọ̀ ọmọ mi tó o bá tí ì pariwo wọn bí ẹ̀mẹ́ta ó lè má understand ẹ bọ̀rọ̀ tó o bá emphasize ẹ dáadáa ó lè má understand ẹ so that is the more reason why tó fi jẹ́ pé yes wọ́n kọ́kọ́ jẹ́ ká gbọ́yé pé ọ̀nà tá a fi rí ọmọ èyí tó dájú nù bẹ̀ òun náà ni kí lọ́lọ́run sọ kí ni ànábì sọ pàápàá jùlọ kò sí bá a ṣe fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ nípa psychology lẹ́nìí kò sí bá a ṣe fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ nípa sociology lẹ́nìí a ní nǹkan tí Islam sọ lórí àwọn ẹ̀ka kọ̀ọ̀kan nínú ìwé yìí tí Islam kò sí nǹkan kan tí Islam ò dá sí nínú gbogbo wọn pátápátá tí Islam ti ń fún wa láwọn ìjìnlẹ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ láti lè gbọ́yé pé nǹkan tí ẹ̀sìn sọ rèé bákan náà lọ́ndà bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n jẹ́ ká gbọ́yé pé àwọn nǹkan táwọn sọ yìí òun nìkan ló máa fún wa ní ojú ọ̀nà láti lè rí ọmọ lórí ìgbàgbọ́ wa lórí bá ṣe fẹ́ kọ́mọ ṣe rí ìgbésí ayé lórí ẹ̀kọ́ tẹ́lẹ̀ bó pè ní discipline àti ojúṣe ọmọ yẹn fúnra rẹ̀ nígbésí ayé ẹ̀ bákan náà wọ́n sọ fún wa lálàkọ́kọ́ wọ́n sọ ń pa bá ṣe rí ọmọ yìí lójú ọ̀nà ìgbàgbọ́ wọ́n emphasize wọ́n kò tí àyà kan fún wa wọ́n ní ànábì ní àdìs ànábì kan wọ́n ní ànábì ní kò lóko rọ́ọ̀yì wọ́n kò lóko mọ́sowúl àròyà àti yìí pé gbogbo aládàárọ̀ jẹ bá a bá ṣe dẹrọ wa jẹ sí oníkálukú wa ó rí tó o bá ti tọ́mọ kò sí bó o ṣe fẹ́ ṣe o gbogbo àdẹ̀ ti mọ̀ àti tọ́ ọmọ kò easy bẹ́ẹ̀ lóde sí mọ́ èyí tó jàjù ni pé ká tiẹ̀ tó sọ pọ́mọ gan a ń láti kọ́kọ́ wé pé ta ni mo fẹ́ fẹ́ tó fẹ́ bí ọmọ yẹn tá a bá ti rẹ́ni tó fẹ́ fẹ́ lè tọ́ emphasize lórí ọ̀rọ̀ marriage in between tá a bá ti rẹ́ni téèyàn fẹ́ fẹ́ tó lálàáfíà tá a rí pẹ́ ní ire ni ó dájú inshallah rahman ni pé kí nǹkan dáadáa tara nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn jáde wọ́n emphasize bí ẹ bá dẹ̀ ti lọ wo nǹkan tọ́lọ́ba náà tún pa wá láṣẹ ọlọ́run bá sọ̀rọ̀ Quran chapter 56 verse 1 suratu Tarim ọlọ́run bá gáìdì wa níbẹ̀ yẹn náà dẹ̀ bákan náà wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ìwà dáadáa àti nǹkan tá a mọ̀ sí akhlaq báwo la ṣe lè rí àwọn ọmọ yìí lórí gbogbo àwọn nǹkan báyìí wọ́n gáìdì wa lé lórí tá a bá lọ wo Quran chapter 17 verse 24 àárí àwọn ìmọ̀nà tó dúró dáadáa lórí béèyàn ṣe lè tí wọ́n bá dẹ̀ lọ wo àsọ̀yí Bukhari náà àárí bí anabi sàlám ṣe ní ká kọ́ àwọn ọmọ lórí ẹ rí i pé wọ́n emphasize béèyàn ṣe lè pass ìwà lórí àwọn ọmọ mò ń lọ kírun mò ń ètò láyé àtijọ́ àwọn àgbàlagbà yẹn máa ń la àwọn ọmọ ń kó ni kọ́kọ́kọ́ padà lọ sẹ́yìn kò ń ṣe nísìnyí mọ́ because àgbàlagbà yẹn gan gbà yẹn náà kò ń ṣe pé ó mọ nǹkan kan o nílùú afọ́jú olójú kan lọ̀gá wọn ni kò ń ṣe pé ó mọ nǹkan náà but nísìn aláwọn ọmọ tó yẹ pé òun gan ti yákùn ráǹtàn ó mọ̀ ń pa ẹ̀sìn ìmí gan tẹ́ ẹ bá pè dúró ó mọ̀ ju àáfàá tẹ́ fi ṣe ìmáàmù lọ mọ́ṣáláṣí so léyìí tó ń túmọ̀ sí pé àwọn ọmọ yìí á láti mójútó wọn ká fún wọn lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó lálàáfíà káwọn náà léèyàn kan yanjú lọ́la wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ pa balance discipline báwo la ṣe fẹ́ fún àwọn ọmọ yìí ní balance discipline he was able to emphasize between excesses bóyá excessive strictness and leniency he was able to manage between the three báwo la ṣe ní ṣàṣejù níbi ìtọ́jú ọmọ báwo la ṣe ní sọ pé yes àlejò báwo la ṣe tún ní rọ̀jù yorùbá ní ẹni tí ò kẹrùn sọ̀rọ̀ yóò kẹtàn sáré èèyàn gbọ́dọ̀ manage balancing láàrin àwọn ọmọ yẹn bóyá láàrin méjì ni láàrin mẹ́ta ni gbìyànjú láti kọ́ wọn lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó ṣe pé ó lálàáfíà tó o bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ jẹ́ kó mọ̀ pé nǹkan tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ má máa sọ̀rọ̀ kó máa parọ́ tó o bá ti ṣe gbogbo eléyìí wọ́n ń kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ni wàá rò pé rẹ́lì wọ́n ń ṣe àwọn ọmọ yẹn ń kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ lọ nìyẹn ìyá tó ń jí owó lápò ọkọ ẹ̀ tí ò ṣe pé wọn ò dẹ̀ fún ẹ lówó oúnjẹ àbí ìwọ tó ń ṣe pé gbogbo àwọn ìwà abú ọwọ́ ẹ̀ láti máa rí lóbìnrin àbí ìwọ ọkọ tó ṣe pé kí ni bíi kó dàsìkò oorun kó mọ̀ọ́mọ̀ kó pàláàmù àbí kó wé pé wò ó màmá kí tèmi náà ẹ̀yàn ọmọ ẹ lọ kírun eléyìí ò lè jẹ́ káwọn ọmọ yẹn rẹ́kọ̀ gidi kọ́ lọ́dọ̀ ẹ̀ o tiẹ̀ wá ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ rárá o mọ bó ṣe ń ka fátì àánú lé tí wàhálà bá dálẹ̀ o mọ bó ṣe máa sáré tẹ́kì ẹnu lé wọ́n kọ́ wa ní eléyìí náà téèyàn bá lọ wo Quran chapter 25 verse 67 àárá àwọn ẹ̀kọ́ téèyàn lè fi gáìdì ààrẹ lórí eléyìí náà wọ́n kọ́ wa ń role model and leading by example ta ni ó gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ role model ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ọmọ yìí orúkọ oríṣiríṣi ló ti ní lórí Facebook lórí Twitter lórí TikTok àbí TikTok ló ń pè mo mọ̀ yẹn pè dáadáa mo ò kí ń lọ síbẹ̀ but bó ṣe lè kórí àwọn ọmọ yìí ní gbogbo apps oríṣiríṣi lórí kíní wọn léyìí tó ń túmọ̀ sí pé béèyàn ò bá ṣọ́ra àwọn ọmọ yẹn ti rí role model kọ̀ọ̀kan lórí àwọn ibi tó ń lọ àwọn sáìtì tó ń lọ yìí you are supposed to be the first role model kàtí ẹ̀sẹ̀ pànábì ní role model gbogbo wa you as a parent supposed to be the first foundation as a mother kí ni nǹkan tó fẹ́ kọ́ ọmọ yẹn kọ́ lára ẹ̀ ṣépè yìí náà ni bó ṣe máa ń ṣépè fún wọn so you want to monitor it ṣé bí wàá tọ́kọ ẹ ṣe ń jà ni you also want to be careful about this what you say to your kids nígbà tọ́kọ ẹ ò sí nílé nípa ọkọ ẹ what to say to your kids nígbà tí ìyàwó ò sí nílé tó ń try láti máa justify àwọn ìṣesí kan ó lè rò bí ipò òun rojọ́ ni òun guide wọn ni but you are training them on the wrong path kí Ọlọ́run kó guide wa lórí eléyìí náà tabalawo Quran chapter 33 verse 21 we are guidance in prayer Anabi Islam kọ́ wa nínú Sahih Bukhari ike ẹ kírun gẹ́gẹ́ bí èmi Anabi Islam ṣe kírun this is one of the good model tá a lè kọ́ tá a lè rí lára àwọn òbí wa mo máa ń sọ fún wa lórí ètò yìí pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa báyìí àwọn òbí wa ló kọ́ wa nírun kò ń ṣe pé a rí lọ́dọ̀ èèyàn kankan tó bá ti ń lọ kírun wọn á mú wa dání ni á lọ kírun pẹ̀lú wọn ni kí Ọlọ́run kó kí àwọn tó bá yìí wà láyé nu wọn àwọn tó ti lọ Ọlọ́run kó foríjì gbogbo wọn ẹ jẹ́ ká encourage àwọn ọmọ wa lórí education either Western or Islamic education both are very important the Alfa talking to us today is well versed when it comes to Islamic knowledge is also a doctor lórí pé bá a ṣe fẹ́ jẹ bá a ṣe fẹ́ mu Western education is just source of income kò sí nǹkan kan tí èèyàn fẹ́ rí ń bẹ̀ knowledge ṣe kìíní but téèyàn bá ti sọ̀rọ̀ pa Islamic education tó wá Islamic ṣe tiẹ̀ pẹ̀lú Western education òun ló máa gbé wa lọ síbi tá à ń lọ níbi tá à ń lọ náà ni a kírọ̀wọ́ ilé ayé wal akibatu lil muttaqin iye alẹ́ eré lásán ni nǹkan tó bá wù ẹ́ ó dà tí ò bá ti sín ẹ̀sìn ń bẹ̀ ẹ̀rí Islam minus beauty ó ka gbogbo ẹ̀ pọ̀ ó ka knowledge jọ kò wá sí plus Islam nínú ẹ̀ you are going nowhere before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so you also want to be careful about this you can also check this in Quran chapter 20 verse 114 for guidance kí Ọlọ́run kó jọ kó ṣàánú fún wa. In summary, àfáà guide wa lórí mentorship ipe èèyàn láti tó o bá lágbára àti jẹ́ tó ipe kó monitor àwọn ọmọ ẹ kó jẹ́ nǹkan tí ó máa bí mentor fún wọn nínú ilé wẹ́ni tó máa káwọn ọmọ yìí náà lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ẹ̀kọ́ kéwú ṣe pàtàkì tó o bá fẹ́ raṣọ ọdún sí ọmọ iye tó ń rà á bọ̀ tó bá ti di pé kó o sanwó online àbí kó o sanwó nǹkan kan o máa rún páni o máa rún gbogbo ẹ̀ ni pé ṣebí lè láìwà rọ̀sùn lè ṣé lè láìwà rọ̀sùn náà làfáà náà máa fi lọ ra tírà ṣébi tó bá ti lọ ra tírà rí láìwà rọ̀sùn lè ni we don't think beyond gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tá a gé ní lọ́dọ̀ àwọn àfáà yìí a fẹ́ jẹ́ kó ṣe gbogbo nǹkan tó bá ń ṣe nítorí ìtọ́lọ́run àwọn náà ó sì jẹun wọn á mu wọn á lọ sí wàásì wọn á wọṣọ ìmí inú wọn kò níṣẹ́ míì ju pé kó kọ́ mọ́ ń kéwú lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ náà làwọn èèyàn ò ní fún lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ rẹ̀ níbi tó yẹ kó ti gbẹ̀tọ́ ẹ̀ we need to be careful káwa náà dẹ̀ kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ àwọn àfáàní ẹni tí ò ní nǹkan kò lè fún yàn so kí Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kó guide ẹ ti rí mentorship ṣe pàtàkì kéèyàn dẹ̀ mẹ́ni tó fẹ́ jẹ́ kọ́mú ẹ kó bá ṣe papọ̀ you need to understand the peer group tọ́mọ ẹ ń bá ṣe nílé ìwé ta ni tíṣà tó ń kọ́ nílé ìwé gan you also need to know so kí Allah kó guide gbogbo wa kó dẹ̀ fi wá mọ ojú ọ̀nà jazakumullah khairan Dr. Ibrahim Subair may Allah put more baraka in your life ṣeun gidi gan. If there is any question, Dr. Zubair is still online. Tabade Diakwe can contribute in 2 minutes. You are also free to do that. But ṣé question wà yẹn wa?
Salaam alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam.
Any colleague question?
Okay, Honey, please, can a Muslim put a very troublesome child in a what?
Remand home
for a few months? No. Dr. Zubair, are you there? So, okay, Dr. Zubair. Okay. Share a question here online. Please, can a Muslim put a very troublesome child? Share remand Abi. Remand home for a few months. Voice in here, jáde mọ́ o.
Can you hear me now?
No, we can't hear you. That voice in here to reduce me.
So what I was saying is that when you remind
we can't hear you. Ó dà pé kíní yẹn ó ti block níbi kan. Ó dà pé volume ẹ̀ ó ti reduce ni kò ń ṣe pé àti gbọ́ à ń gbọ́ yín but kò lọ sókè láti lè gbọ́ dáadáa ni.
Now, what I was saying was it depends also on age. Kí ni age ọmọ náà? Ẹ̀kẹ́ta ò ní pé abáníkà responsibility ọmọ tó burú. Ó súnmọ́ ó jẹ́ pé there is a missing link láàrin ìgbà. Báwo ni táwọn àgbà if a child is very troublesome, quote and unquote, because the word is a relative term. When someone says one of them náà ti lè kéwú láti lè ran ẹ̀mí ẹ̀, but in good faith, ó ní pé a child ọmọ tó burú bíburú ẹ̀ yẹn ìfẹ́ ẹ̀ka ṣe ni pé ká tẹ́lọ̀ máìdì rẹ̀. Umar was a very strong individual, and indeed Allah guided him. He used his strong hand to the fold of Islam. So, in terms of prayer, is it within the Muslim school? Is it Islamic operation? And I think there was the best right when you don't put a child in a remand home that is not Islamic. whereby they nurture the soul in line with Islamic principles. There's nothing bad in such. I liken it with the pattern that our forefathers were doing. When a child becomes strong, one PC later back, then by Allah's permission, such a child will be nurtured, will be trained in line with Islamic principles. Outside that, when you say you take a balance woman still on reprimand home, that's why it's one called Oya to see ìlànà Islam ó léwu díẹ̀. Ó léwu because wọ́n máa bá sọ̀rọ̀, wọ́n á fi bíbélì bá sọ̀rọ̀, wọ́n á fi tó jẹmọ́ Islamic wọ́n á fi bá sọ̀rọ̀. Ìyẹn wá pé ó léwu díẹ̀ kálá tó máa sí ìmáàmù nítorí pé wọ́n yàtọ̀ sí ìlànà tí ó bá ti Islam. So content of the Imam to the teaching. Then third one is that if it is we said within a month or two, within a month or 2 months, all of our months within that short period of time. So it is not advisable to take our children to the mango to try to see the Islamic Islamic books.
Ola, ask your question.
Okay. Okay, sir. So question to me curious question, actually. Nípa Báfà ṣe sọ lẹ́ǹkan bí dọ́kítà ṣe sọ lẹ́ǹkan tó sọ pé Ọlọ́run advice wa pé kàlímàrí ẹ̀ like kéèyàn máa tọ́mọ. So wọ́n ń wo a kind of situation where bóyá àwọn parents yẹn they having problem bóyá or to go through some kind of trauma or medical problem. Ṣé ó wà advisable fún ọkọ sọ pé àwọn fẹ́ lọ adopt ọmọ?
Yeah, okay. Doctor, Bismillah. Ó dà pé kìíní yẹn ó ti gọpa lọ́dọ̀ Doctor Network. Tí àwọn parent bá ní page doctor video doctor yẹn ó ti freeze. Tí àwọn parent bá ní challenges, even common ní challenges, wọ́n lè adopt ọmọ. But tó bá tún wá ní challenges náà, látara pé bóyá ìdí kan sí ìdí kejì, wọ́n lè tún adopt ọmọ náà. But kàn ní dájú pé ìdájọ́ wà lórí adoption dáadáa. Wọ́n ò lè sọ orúkọ ọmọ wọn. Wọ́n ò lè pe ọmọ yẹn ní ọmọ yẹn ń jẹ́ Abdullah. Kọ́ wá ní pé dandan ni kó jẹ́ Adams. Irọ́. Ipò gbọ́dọ̀ lè pe lórúkọ orúkọ yín. Àwọn ànábì jẹ́ ká gbọ́ yẹn yé pé when it comes to adoption lè jẹ́ orúkọ bàbá yẹn. Ọmọ yẹn á máa jẹ́ orúkọ ẹ̀. Nígbà míì àwọn ọmọ yẹn nígbà tẹ́ bá adopt wọn, àwọn tó ń fún yín láwọn ọmọ yẹn gan gbà míì wọ́n lè má mọ last name ọmọ yẹn. So in that aspect wọ́n lè fún ọmọ yẹn ní last name míì, but Islam kọ̀ fún wa pé ká jẹ́ nípa ká sọmọ yẹn di ọmọ wa nítorí pé a adopt ẹ̀. Ẹni tá a adopt ò lè lórúkọ méjì ju pé a adopt ẹ̀ náà lọ. Kò wá síbi tí Islam ti ní pé ká treat rẹ̀ differently yàtọ̀ sí àwọn ọmọ tá a bí gangan. Irọ́, a máa treat wọn bákan náà nítorí pé ọmọ lòun náà a dẹ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ tọ́jú ẹ̀ dáadáa. Under ọmọ òrukàn là á pè wọn sí, a dẹ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ tọ́jú ẹ̀ dáadáa. Ṣé mo ti dáhùn question yẹn lọ?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni bọ̀ question tó tún lọ́mọ díẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ ṣé mo lè béèrè?
Go ahead.
Okay, mo mọ̀ pé Islam sọ categorical pé láì crop jẹ́ ìyẹn yé mi dáadáa, but tó bá jẹ́ pé ọmọ kékeré tí yàn adopt tí ò mọ kò ṣe pé ní religion ọkọ tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀, tó bá ní religion mọ̀ kí yàn máa filẹ̀ bọ̀ tí ò ní religion ọkọ tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ bọ̀ bóyá orúkọ tó fún ó ṣò pé kò ń ṣe mùsùlùmí, ṣé èèyàn lè tọmọ náà lílànà ẹ̀sìn?
Gbogbo nǹkan ló ní rules and regulations níbi tí èèyàn ti lọ adopt ọmọ yẹn. Òun la fi máa ń sọ fáwọn èèyàn pé àìmọye ibi tó wà, even àwọn ibi tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ lọ gan, màá request fọmọ mùsùlùmí kí n tó request fọmọ mi nítorí pé ọmọ yẹn mùsùlùmí ni. then 2 wọ́n máa fún yín ní guidelines rules and regulations tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú kí lórúkọ ẹ̀ yẹn then ọmọ yẹn tí ń bá mú wálé orúkọ mi náà ni orúkọ mùsùlùmí ni màá fún tí ò bá lórúkọ ìtorí pọ́ńdà mi ló fẹ́ wà mo dẹ̀ fẹ́ tútù ẹ̀ mo fẹ́ nọ́tù ẹ̀ lórí ẹ̀sìn mi ni mo ò lè nọ́tù ọmọ yẹn lórí ẹ̀sìn mi tó dẹ̀ ń gbélé mi that is not done. Ẹ má gbàgbé pé nǹkan tí àáfàá sọ fún wa nínú ọ̀rọ̀ wọn ní kullu mauludin yulad ala fitratil Islam gbogbo ọmọ pátápátá la bí lójú ọ̀nà Islam láti àtètèkọ́ṣe wọn kó tó dáyé bọ̀ ìtorí pé circumstances kankan òbí àti ibi táwọn ọmọ yẹn ti bára wọn láyé ó jẹ́ káwọn ọmọ yẹn change lẹ́yìn tó túmọ̀ sí pé ibi tó yẹ kó ọmọ lọ náà lọmọ lọ ibi tó yẹ kó lọ náà ló lọ yẹn mùsùlùmí tó yẹ kó padà dì lọ́lọ́run ti débẹ̀ yẹn so ṣé mo ti answer question yẹn.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni sir bẹ́ẹ̀ mo ní one last question ṣé mo lè bẹ̀rẹ̀.
ẹ jẹ́ kọ́kọ́ answer question yẹn hold on èèyàn kan ní sàwọn àlejò by not giving them our name I guess we are discriminating the word I guess is not applicable here because we are talking of kí lọ́lọ́run bá sọ kí l'Ànábì sọ so òun ló fi jẹ́ pé a ní tẹ̀lé I guess yẹn a pé kí lọ́lọ́run sọ kí l'Ànábì sọ òun la fi bẹ̀rẹ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ wa láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ pé kí ni principle and practice tí Islam gbé kalẹ̀ lórí bá a ṣe ń re àwọn ọmọ tí má lọ adopt ọmọ kò ń ṣe dandan kí n fún lórúkọ mi Islam ò ní kí n fún lórúkọ mi Islam dẹ̀ sọ fún mi pé mo ò gbọ́dọ̀ enforce ẹ̀ pé kí n fún lórúkọ mi kò lè jẹ́ sọ́ni mi láíláí gbogbo àwọn tí Ànábì sallallahu alaihi wasallam tó adopt wọ́n lórúkọ bàbá wọn Ọlọ́run bá náà dẹ̀ sáyà kalẹ̀ pé Ànábì ò kí ń ṣe bàbá yín Ànábì ò kí ń ṣe bàbá yín gbogbo wọn ló ní orúkọ gbogbo àwọn t'Ànábì mú sọ́dọ̀ tó ń rè wọ́n ní orúkọ pátápátá Ànábì dẹ̀ ló rè wọ́n so débi pé àwọn ìtàn wà lóríṣiríṣi tá lè máa fi mú mọ́ra wọn láti jẹ́ ká gbọ́yé tó dáadáa ipe kó lè sọ pé yes ọmọ yẹn kò kí ń ṣe a lè lo orúkọ bàbá yẹn kó wá máa jẹ́ Abdullahi bin Qasim Abdullahi bin Adams irọ́ o a fún lórúkọ míì ni Abdullahi bin Abdullah ẹrú Ọlọ́run tó bí ẹrú Ọlọ́run ni. ṣé dókítà ti padà sórí program so nǹkan tí ẹ̀sìn sọ nìyẹn o alájà kí Ọlọ́run kó gáìdì wa dáadáa ẹ yá ọlá.
Assalamu alaikum ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ má bínú o Abdullahi ibn Abdullahi ṣé general name ni fún ọmọ téèyàn adopt tí ò lórúkọ.
ẹ tún Yorùbá yẹn sọ.
ọmọ téèyàn adopt tí ò lórúkọ orúkọ kan ò bá wá.
èèyàn lè fún lórúkọ
Abdullahi ibn Abdullahi general name ni.
no ẹ má ṣe gbọ́ nǹkan tí mò ń sọ ni pé mo mú yẹn àṣàpẹẹrẹ wá ni èèyàn lè fún ọmọ yẹn lórúkọ míì ó lè jẹ́ Khadija ó lè jẹ́ Halima Shaget but kò lè jẹ́ last name wa kódà mo ti bọ́mọ pàdé níbi bíbáyìí tó ṣe pé kóòtù ló ṣe grant bàbá yẹn gbà tó nípa ọmọ yẹn máa ń sunkún léèwé gan pé bàbá yẹn ọmọ yẹn ló kọ́kọ́ adopt torí pé wọn ò tètè bímọ ọmọ yẹn ti wá dàgbà àwọn ọmọ tí bàbá yẹn padà wá bí lẹ́yìn yẹn orúkọ bàbá ọmọ ẹ̀ ní gbogbo wọn papọ̀ ọjọ́ law school gbogbo wọn ṣọ grow ni ọmọ yẹn wá gbogbo ìgbà tó bá ti ń pe orúkọ yìí ó feel bad bàbá yẹn ní òun ò lè change ẹ̀ òun ò lè ṣe báyìí ọ̀ǹtìgbà tó mú ọmọ yẹn lọ sí court tí ó di ọ̀rọ̀ court ló ṣẹ̀wá ground ti bàbá yẹn ìpè kọ́mọ yẹn lè ní ìfọ̀kànbalẹ̀ kó má feel different láàrin àwọn ọmọ lọ fi padà apply last name bàbá yẹn náà kàkà kọ́ wá yọ orúkọ last name tọmọ yẹn ń jẹ́ ọmọ yẹn ń jẹ́ mo fẹ́ fi ṣàpẹẹrẹ ni o ó wá ń jẹ́ Abdullahi Qasim ó ṣẹ̀ wá ń jẹ́ orúkọ bàbá yẹn nígbẹ̀yìn ṣé ti yé ajá.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni sir, but is there flexibility to this or is it sin to do it?
Flexibility in what way? Ìyẹn ni ò yé mi mọ́ o.
In the name, sir.
Ẹ ti rí orúkọ bí mo ṣe sọ fún yín ẹ ti rí orúkọ tọ́mọ yẹn bá ní orúkọ tó mú bọ̀ láti ibi tó ti mú orúkọ bọ̀ kò sí nǹkan tó sọ fún wa pé a lè change orúkọ ọmọ yẹn but last name ọmọ yẹn ò lè jẹ́ last name wa tá a bá sọ̀rọ̀ nípa flexibility kò sí flexibility tá a fẹ́ mú jáde tó fẹ́ ju nǹkan tí Islam ti pè wá lọ àbí nǹkan tí Islam ti gbé kalẹ̀ fún wa lọ Islam ní ìdáyà ó ní guidance tó fi guide wa ike bó ṣe yẹ kí nǹkan ṣe rí leléyìí bó ṣe yẹ kí nǹkan ṣe rí leléyìí but tó bá wá di pé at the end of the day nǹkan tá à ń feel pẹ̀lú àwọn ọmọ òde òní a rí pé yẹ̀fọ́ ọmọ yẹn wà wọ́ọ̀rì gan a lè padà attach orúkọ wa bọ̀ ká ọmọ ẹ̀ pàwọ́ kọ́ la bí ká àdẹ̀jẹ́ kọ́ ọmọ yẹn wà wíẹ̀ pé àwa kọ́ la bí ẹ o Islam fẹ́ ká yan gbogbo ẹ̀ à ń tọ́jú ẹ ni but àwa kọ́ la bí ẹ ṣé mo ti jẹ́ kọ́rọ̀ yẹn yé.
Oh yes sir, but the question originally is ọmọ téèyàn rí on the road ṣe mọ̀ pé ìgbà míì wọ́n máa ń rọ́ ọmọ lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ títì and you adopt that child ṣé ẹ máa lọ wá last name fún ni.
ok ẹ jẹ́ kí n fún yín lápẹẹrẹ ẹ jẹ́ kí mi àti ìjọ mo like question yẹn, it's a very good question o ẹ jẹ́ kí n fún yín ní kí lórúkọ ẹ̀. ok what about the case of bàbá ẹni tí wọ́n wá ká mọ́lé tí wọ́n rape ó lè wá ká wọn mọ́lé ni o ó wá rape ìyá yẹn wọn ò wá mọ ẹni tó ní ọmọ ńgbà tí o kò lè ṣẹ́ oyún yẹn ó bí ọmọ yẹn kí lẹ fi pé yẹ ká ṣe pẹ̀lú irú ọmọ yẹn. náà mo fi ń jẹ́ kájọ kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ni o nǹkan tó máa ṣe pẹ̀lú irú ọmọ yẹn ṣe fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ ni. broda ọlá mò ń bọ̀.
ok èmi ló fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ pẹ̀lú nǹkan tẹ̀ sọ ni ok.
mò ń gbọ́ ọlá kí ló fẹ́ sọ.
ní ìfẹ́ sọ pé nǹkan tẹ̀ ń bèrè ń sìn àyàn máa gíbọn ọmọ yẹn fún adoption ni kó máa rí pé wọn máa lọ guinea resentment lórí ọmọ yẹn. torí ẹ pé ẹgbẹ́ pé ẹ bá lọ wọ ọmọ.
jẹ́ kí n ṣàlàyé báyìí o ti rí àlàyé tí mo mú wá ń sìn o ti rúrú òbí yẹn tó pé bóyá wọ́n rèpò ẹ̀ ni kò wá sí bàbá yẹn mọ́ kò sí bó ṣe fẹ́ trace orúkọ bàbá ọ máa fún ọmọ yẹn ní orúkọ then ìyá yẹn máa wá lu orúkọ tiẹ̀ láti fi jẹ́ last name ọmọ yẹn àwọn àfáà ni kò sàbòrò nínú ẹ̀ then tá a bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ pa ọmọ tá a rí ní títì tá a kàn ràn lọ́wọ́ gbogbo wa náà mọ procedure a kàn lè déédéé gbérú ọmọ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ́lé a kọ́kọ́ fi lọ pẹ̀lú ìjọba ó ní brother ọláńsọ pé ká kọ́kọ́ fi lọ pẹ̀lú ìjọba tá a bá wá fẹ́ gba lọ́dọ̀ ìjọba tá a fẹ́ gbà lé lórí pé mo fẹ́ máa tọ́jú irú ọmọ yìí no problem à á fún ọmọ yẹn lórúkọ but ká bear in mind pé orúkọ tá a fún ọmọ yẹn a lè ní Abdullahi bun Abdullah àná ọmọ yẹn ò lè jẹ́ last name wa àwa kọ́ la bí kò lè jẹ́ last name wa àwa ní Abdullah bun Abdullah ẹrú Ọlọ́run ṣáà ló ń jẹ́ Abdullah bun Abdullah ó wá lè wá ní last name wa láti lè jẹ́ kọ́mọ yẹn kó má fi ìbákan pé àwa là ń tó ẹ but orúkọ tó ti wà láàrin yẹn indicate pé àwa la tọ́ Islam ló ní flexibility tó pọ̀ lọ́wọ́ because ọmọ yẹn ò gbọ́dọ̀ dàgbà àṣà Yorùbá ni àkó máa gbọ́dọ̀ gbọ́ ó máa fi ìbákan Islam ní pé no ẹ jẹ́ kọ́mọ yẹn mọ̀ ike báyìí ni o ẹ jẹ́ kọ́mọ yẹn mọ̀ lópin ìgbà tóbi bá ti ṣe dáadáa sọ́mọ kò sí bọ́mọ yẹn ṣe fẹ́ fi ìbákan bẹ̀tọ́ bí bá ti ń jẹ́ kọ́mọ máa ní attitude ti wà lórí ọmọ yẹn láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ bóyá láti ọ̀dọ̀ bàbá ni o àbí láti ọ̀dọ̀ ìyá ni o attitude ti ń wà tá bá ti padà sọrú nǹkan báyìí fọmọ á bí nínú in fact àwọn ọmọ yẹn yé ti pé tó bá pẹ́kẹ́ ẹ̀chẹ̀ wá sọ fáwọn ẹ jẹ́ kó mọ̀ láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ike báyìí ni nǹkan tí Islam sọ nìyẹn wallahu alam.
ẹ ṣé gan o, that was a very good explanation sir. So the name is good but there's situation whereby you can let them have your last name. So ọmọ yẹn lè jorúkọ last name wa because kò ní last name even tá bá fún ní Abdullahi ibn Abdullahi last name ẹnìkan la Abdullahi last name ẹnìkan ní ibn Abdullahi last name ẹnìkan náà nìyẹn.
gbọ́yé ẹ jẹ́ kí n jẹ́ kó yé yín sìn last name èèyàn kan ló ń jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ tòótọ́ bọ̀ ó lè máa jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ kò sẹ́ni tí ò lè jẹ́ orúkọ yẹn mò ń jẹ́ Kọ́sìm mò ń sìn tẹ́ bá bímọ ó lè jẹ́ Kọ́sìm tọ́mọ ọmọ yín bá bímọ ó lè jẹ́ Qasim ìtumọ̀ Abdullahi ibn Abdullahi ló ń túmọ̀ sí pé ẹrú Ọlọ́run kan náà ló bí ẹrú Ọlọ́run ló bí ẹrú Ọlọ́run yẹn gbà míì gan ó lè má tiẹ̀ wá jẹ́ mùsùlùmí kó jẹ́ Christian láfi lo Abdullah sorúkọ ọmọ yẹn àìmọye èèyàn tó ń jẹ́ Abdullah àìmọye Abdullah táàrí nínú kíláàsì tó jẹ́ last name and the first name but a fi orúkọ wá sí láti lè jẹ́ kọ́mọ yẹn mọ̀ pé yes you are sharing from us we are your family member now lórúkọ wá fi wà ń bẹ̀ but originally òtítọ́ mo fi ní a máa ní láti jẹ́ kọ́mọ yẹn náà wà wí ẹ̀ inú mi dẹ̀ dùn àwọn ọmọ bíbá máa ń tètè culture wa ló máa ń delay kọ bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn but àwọn bíbá máa ń tètè mọ̀ ó máa mọ irú ẹni tóun jẹ́ láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ so it's better ká jẹ́ kọ́mọ yẹn mọ̀ ká dẹ̀ jẹ́ kó mọ̀ pé orúkọ wa tá a fi sínú orúkọ ẹ is because àwa là ń tó ẹ you are part of the family èmi ni dáàdi ẹ ń sìn she is your mom now lórúkọ yẹn fún wa bẹ́ẹ̀ but the biological father gangan and the biological mother gangan we don't know them because ó ti wà nínú àkọọ́lẹ̀ gan àkọọ́lẹ̀ tá a fi gbọ́dọ̀ gbọ́ ọmọ yẹn sọ́wọ́ tíjọba fi gbé fún wa pé ká lọ máa tọ́ gbogbo kíní yìí máa ti wà ń bẹ̀ ipa wa kọ́ lanu mọ́ kò dẹ̀ da kọ́mọ yẹn rírú ẹ̀ lọ́jọ́ iwájú kó wá máa pè àwa tí ẹ̀kọ́ lọ́ ṣe kíní kan fún mi no.
That's a very good explanation. So in the summary, it's okay for the child to have our last name because it gives the child a dignity and a sense of belonging. Tọ́mọ yẹn bá wá dàgbà tá a ti ṣàlàyé gbogbo nǹkan fún tó bá ní òkè o òun fẹ́ jẹ́ orúkọ báyìí àti last name ó ti dàgbà ó ti tó jẹ́ orúkọ tó bá wùn but at the beginning of the child pẹ̀lú òun ọmọ yẹn àtà adopt àtàwọn ọmọ tiwa they all have the same last name no discrimination kò tẹ́ tó máa ní pé ọmọ mẹ́rin tẹ́ kó wá sí orúkọ last name eléyìí ṣe wá yàtọ̀. So in that sense, ó cover ọmọ yẹn, ó dẹ̀ bu ọmọ yẹn láṣìírí in that sense. But at the same time, àti ṣàlàyé fún ọmọ yẹn mọ̀ pé àwa kọ́ la bí, ó mọ̀ pé adapt òun ni, but a fi orúkọ yẹn bò láṣìírí kó fi jẹ́ orúkọ last name wa. Kó dẹ̀ máa lọ sí school bẹ̀, kó gba ọmọ ìjọ wà pọ̀, so kò ní feel like pé òun wà excluded from the rest of the kids in their home because àwọn ọmọ ìsìn they are very sensitive. So in that sense, ó fọmọ yẹn ní dignity, ó dẹ̀ fún ní sense of belonging.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ẹ má bínú, mo kàn fẹ́ had a little bit about last name yẹn náà ni. Sherry, last name when it comes to schools, I have seen àwọn ọmọ tó jẹ́ pé the same mother, the same father, but they all go by separate last names. And that is just based on their culture. So the last name, the dignity, will go against what everybody saw. The dignity has to come from the family itself, but she inform ọmọ ṣì máa complain ọmọ tí ìyá àti bàbá ẹ̀ bí gọngọlá ó ṣì máa complain pé you know my mother tó bá fẹ́ get away with anything. So when it comes to that last name, no, the school authorities they know, a lot of them do know. At times I have seen this is for sure that I know about. To be brother and sister of the same mother, the same father, based on their culture. Man go by their separate last name, but they are of the same mother and of the same father, but culture one. And I don't know if anything else is related to it, but to yekpe genetically or family canon. So when it comes to school instruction and identification, no, I don't think that's anything, no. But I just wanted to explain that part.
Thank you so much, everybody. But the cognition pẹ̀lú discrimination in Islam, cognition pẹ̀lú discrimination, even tá a bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa last name, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa nǹkan tá a believe pẹ̀lú last name, òun náà ni pé ẹ jẹ́ fún yín lápẹẹrẹ, orúkọ mi gangan ni Qasim, then orúkọ family name ń jẹ́ Adams. Last name nǹkan tá a believe nìyẹn pé last name nìyẹn nínú Islam. But last name tó yẹ kọ́mọ mi jẹ́ òun lórúkọ mi nínú Islam. Òun ló fi jẹ́ Fatima ń jẹ́ Fatima bintu Muhammad. Orúkọ Ànábì ló tẹ̀lé orúkọ Fatima. Lẹ́yìn yẹn lórúkọ bàbá Bun Abdullah lórúkọ yẹn ṣe ń lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. Lórúkọ yẹn ṣe ń lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. Ó likely just like the way she said now, ó likely kéèyàn déléwé kó rọ ọmọ tó pé yes orúkọ bàbá ẹ̀ ló ń jẹ́ directly pé èmi ń jẹ́ Abdulkudus o Kalsim as last name. Kí mi máa jẹ́ pé Kudus o, àmì kí mi jẹ́ Zainab o, Adam, they are from the same father. Bá a bá ṣe tó àwọn ọmọ yẹn lé ló mátà. They are from the same father, the same mother. Ìmí inú wọn dẹ̀ lè kó papọ̀. Ìmí inú wọn yọ kúrò. So bí generation bá ṣe ń lọ kò síbi tó ti compulsory pé kí n lo orúkọ bàbá mi. Kò síbi tí Islam ti compulsory fún ẹ pé kí n lo orúkọ bàbá mi as the last name fáwọn ọmọ mi. Orúkọ yẹn kàn máa continue lọ ni. Karim ọmọ Qasim ni. Qasim náà rèé ọmọ Adams ni. Adams ni ọmọ Bunyamin ni. Bí kinní yẹn ṣe máa ń lọ nínú Islam nìyẹn. So kò ní ṣe pẹ̀lú discrimination, my sister. Kò dẹ̀ ní ṣe pẹ̀lú pé bẹ́yà èèyàn kò fẹ́ káwọn ọmọ yẹn papọ̀ àbí ọmọ yẹn máa ṣe bákan bá ṣe mú wọn papọ̀ nínú ilé òun ni. Mo dẹ̀ tún sọ nǹkan tí ẹ̀sìn sọ lélẹ̀, nǹkan táwọn àáfàá sọ rèé. Gbogbo àwọn àáfàá pátápátá nǹkan tó fẹnu papọ̀ rèé. Ráyù wọn, reasoning wọn kan ló máa yàtọ̀ díẹ̀díẹ̀, but tó máa yìí fẹnu kò sórí ọ̀rọ̀ ànábì yẹn ni. Padà náà ni. Then two ni pé àwọn ọmọ yẹn tá a bá rí bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn, ó dáa. Ànábì Islam sọ pé tó bá lè tọ́jú ọmọ òrukàn àbí ọmọ aláìní, ẹni tó bá lè tọ́jú ànábì ni pé bó ṣe ṣe rèé, ó ní òun àtonítọ̀hún làwọn jọ máa wà papọ̀ lálùkìyámọ̀. Òun àti ẹ̀ làwọn jọ máa wà papọ̀ ní àlùkìyámọ̀. Léyìí tó ń túmọ̀ sí pé ká tọ́jú wọn dáadáa tá a bá láǹfààní pé kó wà ní nkí ẹ̀ wà. Ká tọ́jú wọn dáadáa. Èyí tí ò bá sí nkí ẹ̀ wà náà kò sí. A lè extend dáadáa sírú àwọn ọmọ bẹ́ẹ̀ tá a bá mọ̀ wọ́n kí Ọlọ́run kó guide wa. Then any animal time kò yé mi o. We need more time, Imam. What if the kid is a girl? Mo understand the more time here, Alaja. Then what if the kid is a girl? I don't get your question either.
No, mo mí ní pé ṣe pé ẹni Abdullah fọkùnrin tó bá jóbìnrin.
Tó bá jóbìnrin a máa fún lórúkọ náà ni.
No, kẹ sọ pé ẹ̀rọ Ọlọ́run fọkùnrin. Abdullah fọkùnrin ló ń jẹ́ Abdullah tó bá jóbìnrin.
Mo ṣe sọ nìyẹn. Àti fẹ́ máa fi reasoning máa wo bí mo ṣe gbé kalẹ̀ nìyẹn. Nǹkan tó bá mú wa tọ́mọ yẹn bá jóbìnrin, a máa follow proper kíní pẹ̀lẹ́sìn náà ni. Ó ń jẹ́ Amina. Mọ́bi tó ti ṣẹ̀ wá. But ẹni tó bá máa jẹ́ bàbá, orúkọ bàbá ṣáà ló máa ń fi tì. Amina bintu Abdullah. Tí ó ti yé ń sìn.
Okay.
Salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Salam alaikum. Echo, in my own little opinion, me feel pé okay, once you adopt a child, the child should be a total adoption. That is, you don't even want the child to feel anything. Though at certain age, I think around 10 years, you still call the child and explain to the child that you've been adopted. But by not allowing the child to bear the family name, that's where I have kind of question about. Because I believe once you adopt a child, you should give the child your name. You might add, if you know the child's name, original name, like you said, like Abdullah, and your whole name is Olua, you can add Abdullah Olua to the child. That gives the child a kind of sense, maybe could I call it belonging or what? Because, just like we all know, nowadays is the media, everything, like the child we ask, okay, when you adopt me, why can't you give me your name? When you say you adopt me as your child, because once you adopt a child, I believe you should treat the child as your own child. Nothing should be, you should not even
have any second thought. That's what I think. I'm sorry if I'm wrong in any way.
Yes, more like bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe sọ̀rọ̀, and that is what you think. Mo ń
Yes.
farabalẹ̀ sọ fún yín pé your view is okay by the general way tá a fi lè ṣe nǹkan, but the view of Islam is always prevail lórí bó ṣe yẹ kí nǹkan ṣe rí. Islam ò fẹ́ ká hide kankan fún ọmọ yẹn. Islam ò dẹ̀ sọ pé ọmọ wa lọmọ yẹn totally. Ẹni tó ní ọmọ lè yọjú lọ́la. Ẹni tó ní ọmọ lè yọjú lọ́la. Tẹ́niyàn ò bá tí ì kú, ó lè yọjú lọ́la. Ó lè jẹ́ di kan sí di kejì. Ó lè jẹ́ pé ibi tó ti jí nǹkan kan lọmọ yẹn ti sọnù mọ́ lọ́wọ́. Ó lè jẹ́ pé wàhálà kan ló ṣẹlẹ̀ tí kinní yẹn fi ṣẹlẹ̀. Ó lè padà rọ́mọ yẹn trace lọ́la. Then ìkejì, Islam ń try láti jẹ́ kó yé wa. Kò ní pé ká má ṣe dáadáa sọ́mọ yẹn. Kò ní ká má treat ọmọ yẹn papọ̀ pẹ̀lú ọmọ. Ó ní ká kó wọn papọ̀ ká train wọn ni. Bó ṣe lè jẹ́ nígbà míì gan, ó lè jẹ́ ọmọ yẹn gan ló máa grow jù, ló máa jẹ́ nǹkan nú ẹbí yẹn. So possible.
Okay.
But Islam ò ever fẹ́ pé nǹkan tí ò bá àwọ ọmọ yẹn kó jẹ́ láyé, nǹkan tí ò bá àwọ ọmọ yẹn kó dà láyé. But Islam ń jẹ́ kó yé wa pé orúkọ bàbá ọmọ yẹn ni kẹ́ ẹ fi máa pè ó. Tí ò bá wá nórúkọ exceptional nìyẹn o. Tí ẹ mọ bàbá, because ibi tí ẹ bá ti lọ adopt ọmọ, nígbà míì wọ́n mọ àwọn tó ní ọmọ. Ọmọ àwọn tó ní ọmọ ó lè jẹ́ pé wọn ò lágbára láti tọ́ ọmọ yẹn.
Okay. Thank you so much, Imam. I think that's because in Canada, they do it that way. They don't do full adoption, just like you said, because, the parents or whoever, they still have access to the child. Well, I think that's the policy they are following in Canada. Thank you so much, Imam.
So,
I have to go
Ọlọ́run
now.
guide
Thank
wa
you
fún
so
wa ní
much.
better understanding.
I just have to take a quick break.
No
Thank you
problem.
so much, sir.
Àtúntún kìíní revisit nígbà míì so that a lè kúkú discuss kí ló ń pè ní adoption nínú Islam, so that you get to understand some facts tí Islam gbé kalẹ̀ fún wa, k'Ọlọ́run kó guide kó dẹ̀ fún wa ní better understanding. Inshallah, ẹ ṣeun gan, a dúpẹ́ fún gbogbo wa for today's lecture. Ó wà a little bit long. We never planned for this, but alhamdulillah, ẹ má bínú. Brother Ọlá, mo mọ̀ pé ò náwó mọ́, o yí láti gbé ọwọ́ ẹ̀ yẹn
sókè. Àfà, sáwọn ipò yìí ló wọ́n ṣì wà lókè o.
Ó yá dáhùn.
Okay, ẹ má bínú, last question mi ni pé mo rántí bí Dr. ṣe explain nípa bí wọ́n ṣe ń tọ́jú ọmọ in general in Islam. Is there a special way fún ọmọ tó wà challenged? Because ẹ mọ̀ pé wọ́n ní kí ọmọ wà over protective jù. But ọmọ tó wà challenge, èèyàn máa over protective àbí pé èèyàn máa harsh. So mo fẹ́ mọ̀ kí ni Islamic view lórí
Tí ọmọ bá wà challenged.
Ọmọ tó bá wà challenged.
Tí ọmọ bá wà tọ́mọ yẹn bá fi lè wà challenged. Tí èèyàn fi notice pé ọmọ mi yìí ó wà challenged, tó dẹ̀ gbé dé hospital tó notice pé ó wà challenged. Lára nǹkan tí ọmọ àkọ́kọ́ ní, ìtorí pé kí ọmọ yẹn kó má bàa máa bíyàn nínú. Kó má bàa máa bíyàn nínú. Ní tẹ̀lé òwe Yorùbá tó máa ní ẹgbàá lógún wèrè. Yorùbá ó náwọn kankan lọ́wọ́ tó yẹ pé yes, ó burúkú gbọ́n. Ó lè gba ọmọ yẹn tó yẹ pé wàá ní gbogbo kó gbájú fún yọ, ó máa calm down sí tó bá ti kó gbájú fún. Ọmọ yẹn dẹ̀ ti wà use pẹ̀lú gbájú tó bá ti kó fún. Tọ́mọ yẹn ò bá ti rí gbájú, nǹkan tó tailor mind ọmọ yẹn àti training tó fún nìyẹn. So tí wò ó gbọ́dọ̀ rí bẹ́ẹ̀. The same method tá a fẹ́ lò fẹ́ni tó rí ẹ pé la máa lò fáwọn náà, but a máa wá fi àwọn training kọ̀ọ̀kan kún. Àwọn training yẹn ni pé kí ni nǹkan tó ń ṣọmọ yìí? Báwo ni mo ṣe lè máa communicate pẹ̀lú ẹ̀? Báwo ni mo ṣe lè sọ nǹkan báyìí tí ò ní bí ọmọ yẹn nú? Nítorí pé ẹni tó ní ìpèníjà bóyá kò lè sọ̀rọ̀ ni. Tẹ wá ń ṣe àwọn nǹkan kan lójú ẹ̀ tóun wá dá wà. Sadness yẹn ó máa wà lọ́kàn inú ẹ̀ ò ní dùn. Ipò wọn kàn dá wà ní wọn ò gbọ́ nǹkan tó ń sọ. We should be able to communicate, ká learn bá ṣe máa communicate pẹ̀lú òun náà. Lórí àwọn nǹkan díẹ̀ àwọn nǹkan kéékèèké, so that ìtorí àwọn ṣe àwọn nǹkan oríṣiríṣi fún wa ń sìn, tó yẹ pé yes, irú kí lẹ máa ń pe kí ní táwọn ọmọ yẹn máa fi sétí tó máa jẹ́ kó máa gbọ́rọ̀ tá a bá ń bá sọ irú àwọn apps kan wà
hearing
tẹ́ pé
aid.
thank you irú àwọn apps kan wà tọmọ yẹn lè máa lò tó máa gbé dání nínú ilé pẹ̀lú wa tí máa sọ pé a fẹ́ lọ jẹun mo ti gbé apps yẹn fún mo ti tẹ̀ pé a fẹ́ lọ jẹun tí máa sọ pé àwọn fíìmù ìtorí ẹ̀ ló jẹ́ pé ìyá oníṣẹ́ tó máa ṣe gan ìyá supposed to be a manager ọkọ kan monitor ni ó máa monitor ilé pé ṣe dáadáa ìyá supposed to be a manager òun ló fi jẹ́ pé ńgbà tánà sàslam tí sàábẹ̀ yẹn wá bá ànábì ó ní ta ni kí n ṣe dáadáa sí ó ní òmùkà ẹ̀mẹ́ta ló pariwo òmùkà ìyá ẹ ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹrin ló ṣe sọ pé àbúkà àti bàbá rẹ̀ náà ìyá supposed to be a solid foundation fọmọ yẹn láti rí ẹ̀kọ́ tó pọ̀ kọ́ gbogbo nǹkan ló máa wá bọ́mọ yẹn ṣàṣe lè cope pẹ̀lú every other person tó wà nínú ilé tí wọ́n pé ẹrù páwa náà pé ni àwa náà pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa tó bá check wa délẹ̀ ẹlòmíín gbà mí ó lè ní hearing problem kó má mọ̀ ẹ lè pé lẹ́ẹ̀mẹ́ta kó má gbọ́ kó yẹ pé lẹ́ẹ̀kẹrin ló máa tó gbọ́ challenge nìyẹn náà bàtí torí pé ìyẹn ò wà so obvious sọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ ló fi dàbí ẹni pé kò ń ṣe challenge so gbogbo kíní la máa mójútó la máa fi guide ara wa láti lè mọ òkè báwo mo ṣe fẹ́ máa communicate pẹ̀lú ọmọ mi báwo ni mo ṣe fẹ́ máa ṣe pẹ̀lú ọmọ mi ọlọ́run lè wá jẹ́ kó simple pẹ̀lú wa kó jẹ́ pé fúnra rẹ̀ ló máa kọ́ yín gan bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe máa bóun sọ̀rọ̀.
Sorry, once again, assalamu alaikum. Based on that is another thing. Based on disability, there are so many resources, just like the ma'am just mentioned. Aside from that, Islam so open it up fún wa pé number one, ẹni tó bá ní disability, a gbọ́dọ̀ treat wọn indifferently, because with that disability comes a lot of reward you get from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So mistake tí a lot of us máa ń ṣe ni pé a máa ń sọ pé no, we don't want medication. Two, we're not being patient. But having a disability could mean pé ọmọ wa part of the family. All we have to do is to seek for necessary assistance. Boya resources, they're always there. But unfortunately, based on culture, nígbà míì, a máa move away from it. But no, ọmọdé yóò ṣe nǹkan báyìí, ọmọdé yóò ní nǹkan báyìí. A lot of ọmọ àtàgbàlagbà gan tó ti dàgbà báyìí ló ní a lot of disabilities yẹn lára tó yẹ pé ìtorí ìtìjú àbí nǹkan kan wọn fẹ́ address ẹ̀. So basically, ìyẹn máa evaluate, ìyẹn máa lọ sọ́dọ̀, is either you go to the doctor or you seek for assistance with resources. In all schools, at the county, at the state government, not go to the federal level. And even it's against the law, can't treat anybody with disability. So that is part of it. Big bar and everything there. I just wanted to add it to it based on my specialty.
So, Brother Allah, Jazakumullah khair. Brother Allah, there are so many apps, there are so many things tí èèyàn lè ṣe online láti fi lè get èèyàn gan lè get trained. Mo wà nínú class kan ní few days ago mo rí ibi tí èèyàn kan ti ń kọ́ ọmọ yẹn ní sign language tó ti jọ ń ṣe pẹ̀lú ra wọn. This is a young lady tó dẹ̀ ń kọ́ àwọn students in my own class, so I was amazed. So inú mi dùn àwọn county kọ̀ọ̀kan ní bí èèyàn ṣe lè lọ kọ́ àwọn kinní yẹn láti lè communicate. Ó máa jẹ́ àǹfààní fún wa láti lè monitor àwọn tó bá wà ní surroundings wa. Ó dẹ̀ lè jẹ́ opportunity àti hẹ́n owó nígbà míì láti fi máa ṣiṣẹ́ nígbà míì. Ọlọ́run kó ṣàánú fún wa kó dẹ̀ guide wa kó fún gbogbo wa ní àṣeyọrí lórí àdáwọlé wa. Ibi tá a máa dúró sí rè. Mo lérò pé ó bẹ́tà kó gbọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ sílẹ̀ báyìí o. Mo lérò pé
ẹ má bínú ẹ jọ̀ọ́ mo ní láti béèrè question yìí ẹ lè dáhùn ṣókí mi ní bínú.
Oh my God, okay, mo ti gbọ́ ẹ yá béèrè.
Okay, ọ̀rọ̀ lórí disability tí àyájá sọ̀rọ̀ pa sí ṣe hàn pé with the recent technology at state wọ́n lè determine pé ọmọ lè ní kíní kan báyìí tó bá jẹ́ irú situation báyẹn tó bá ní pé ọmọ wa ní serious health challenge bóyá bíi mi mọ ìdíra láti sọ lórí yẹn but ṣé ó wà pẹ̀lú ní Islam kó wá sọ pé a máa ń láti kí ni kí n pe Yorùbá yẹn náà pé ọmọ ní láti ṣe oyún yẹn ni pé because ọmọdé tó bá bí ó máa ń ju báyìí àbí ó máa jẹ́
Another
sí
topic ló lọ́yà
ṣé
o.
ó wà allowed in Islam ó yẹ mi mo ṣe ní ẹ
Another
lè dáhùn
topic now.
ṣòkì.
No, it's
Pé
not.
nítorí pé ọmọ yẹn wà challenge.
No, láti pé ọ lè mọ̀ from pregnancy. So kọ́ a máa wò pé doctor wa advice pé ẹ bá dẹ̀ wọ̀ pé ẹ fẹ́ go through irú wàhálà báyìí àbí stress báyìí ṣé ká kú ìjọ pregnancy yẹn.
So see, let me be sincere with you. At the earlier stage, tí Islam bá realize pé oyún tẹ́ni ní àkóbá ló máa kó fún, Islam ó máa improvise fún ọ. Islam tó bá ti fi lè notice pé oyún tí ẹni ní, mo ti rí ẹni tó ní pé oyún bọ́ sẹ́yìn ẹ̀yìn rí. Kí ló dẹ̀ ṣe? Ìgbà tó mọ̀ pé ìnira ló máa padà jẹ́ fún sísítà yẹn, ó dẹ̀ lè ṣe àkóbá fún kó la ẹ̀mí lọ. Wọ́n bá flush kìíní yẹn. At the earlier stage ni bóyá wọ́n dẹ̀ bá flush ẹ̀ kúrò mẹ́. So tó bá pẹ́ ká sọ̀rọ̀ nípa abortion, ká sọ̀rọ̀ nípa adoption, a lè tún tójú bọ̀ yẹn náà. Mo lérò pé mo ti ẹ̀ treat abortion rí. So mo lè fẹ́ wà careful gan láti treat ẹ̀ because òfin ìlú yìí gan Ọlọ́run kó ṣàánú ni pẹ̀lú ọ̀rọ̀ abortion. But either we like it or not, we will also look into it and talk about it in a way tó yẹ pé kí lè Ọlọ́run sọ kí ni ànábì sọ lé lórí. Gbogbo alámọ̀túnmọ̀ abortion, but tó bá ti fẹ́ di ìnira fún yàn nígbà míì, Islam máa improvise solution tó lè require pé kí ni ìdí tí mo fi lè abort. So wallahu alam, a máa treat yẹn jọ mi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum salam. Okay, sir. So